Hello 8th graders and happy Tuesday. Today we're going to find missing side lengths in figures that have been dilated using our knowledge of scale factor from yesterday. I know you're going to do an excellent job. Let's dive right in. Let's look at the two figures on the left. Are they congruent? Yes, they are the same size and shape and can be made into one another using a series of rigid transformations. Which sequence of transformations could be used to transform pentagon P to pentagon Q? So to go from the shape on the quadrant 1 to the shape in quadrant 3. The correct answer is C. First, I would have to reflect the shape over the y-axis so that the angle, the acute angle, is pointing in the opposite direction. Then I would translate the unit 7 units down. Now let's look at the next question. The figure shows two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Find the unknown angles if angle 1 is 123 degrees. Go ahead and find angles 2, 3, and 4 now. Remember that if two angles are on a straight line, they add up to 180 degrees. And if two angles are vertical to one another, they're identical. What are those angles? Angle 2 is on a straight line with angle 1, so I can subtract 180 minus 123 to find that angle 2 is 57 degrees. Angle 3 is 123 degrees because it's vertical to angle 1. Angle 4 is also 57 degrees. It's on a straight line with angle 1, and it's vertical to angle 2. Now find angles 5, 6, 7, and 8 using corresponding angles. Go ahead and enter those angles now. Angle 5 is 123 degrees. It corresponds to angle 1. Angle 6 is 57 degrees. It corresponds to angle 2. Angle 7 is also 123 degrees. It corresponds to angle 3. And angle 8 is 57 degrees. It corresponds to angle 4. Now let's try a few more problems. What's 4 divided by 3 if I write the result as an improper fraction? Well, 4 divided by 3 is the same as 4/3. My dividend, the number I'm dividing, over my divisor, the number I'm dividing by. What's 1/4 divided by 3? Well, I can multiply 1/4 times the reciprocal of 3. The reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. What's 1/4 times 1/3? 1/4 times 1/3 is 1/12. Now let's simplify the fractions. What's the greatest common factor of 2 and 16? What's the largest number that goes into both? It's 2. When I divide 2 and 16 by 2, what's the resulting fraction? It's 1/8. What's the greatest common factor of 6 and 18? The greatest common factor of 6 and 18 is 6. When I divide both 6 and 18 by 6, what's my new fraction? It's 1/3. What's the greatest common factor of 14 and 8? It's 2. When I divide both 14 and 8 by 2, what's my new fraction? It's 7/4. This page isn't in your packet, but it will help us get ready to do our scale factor problems today. Go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 2 in the boxes. Now go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 3 in the boxes. Now go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 4 in the boxes. Now go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 5 in the boxes. Now go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 6 in the boxes. Now go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 7 in the boxes. Now go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 8 in the boxes. Now go ahead and enter all of the multiples of 9 in the boxes. We will use our knowledge of and quick recall of multiplication facts to help us today. Let's look at the first page of the lesson on page 2. A blank creates a scaled copy of an original figure. That's a dilation. An image that is larger than the original is an enlargement. An image that is smaller than the original is a reduction. And the scale factor is the number that each side is multiplied by. Let's look at a couple examples. Today we're going to use the scale factor to find missing side lengths. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the left. First, is the figure on the right an enlargement or a reduction? It's a reduction. It got smaller in size, so my scale factor is going to be less than 1. What's the scale factor? Remember, I can divide a side in the new figure by the corresponding side in the old figure. Here I can divide 3 divided by 12. I can write 3/12 as a fraction as 3 over 12. Then I can simplify. What's the largest number that goes into 3 and 12? It's 3. When I divide both 3 and 12 by 3, what's my new fraction? It's 1/4. So the scale factor is 1/4. To find x, I can multiply 20 times 1/4. That's the same as saying 20 divided by 4. What's 20 divided by 4? It's 5. So x is 5. Let's look at another one. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the left. Is it an enlargement or a reduction? Here, it's an enlargement, so my scale factor will be greater than 1. What is the scale factor? Well, I can divide 8 divided by 4 to find the scale factor. What's 8 divided by 4? It's 2. The scale factor is 2. To find x, I can multiply the corresponding side 5 times the scale factor. 5 times 2. So what's the value of x? It's 10. Let's do another one. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the left. Is it an enlargement or a reduction? It's an enlargement. It got bigger, so the scale factor will be greater than 1. What is the scale factor? Well, I can divide 24 divided by 6, the corresponding side on the new figure, by the corresponding side in the old figure. What's 24 divided by 6? It's 4. The scale factor is 4. Now I can find the value of x by multiplying 9 times the scale factor. What's 9 times 4? It's 36. So x is 36. Let's do one more together before you try a few on your own. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the left. Is it an enlargement or a reduction? Well, the figure on the right is smaller, so it's a reduction. What is the scale factor? To find the scale factor, I can divide 5 divided by 10, the side on my new figure by the side on my original. 5 divided by 10 can be written as the fraction 5/10. Now I can simplify. What's the largest number that's a factor of 5 and 10? 5 is. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So my scale factor is 1/2. I can find the value of x by multiplying my original side, 12, times the scale factor, 1/2. That's the same as saying 12 divided by 2. What's 12 divided by 2? It's 6. So x equals 6. Now try a few on your own. The figure on the left is a dilation and translation of the figure on the right. Is the figure on the left an enlargement or reduction of the figure on the right? It's a reduction. It got smaller. Find the scale factor. What's the scale factor? Here the scale factor is 8 divided by 32, or 8 over 32. When I simplify, I can see that the scale factor is 1/4. So what's the value of x? Well, 16 times 1/4 is the same as 16 divided by 4, or just plain 4. X equals 4. Now let's try a few more. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the left. Is it an enlargement or a reduction? It's an enlargement. What's the scale factor? The scale factor is 7. 70 divided by 10 is 7. So what's the value of x? The value of x is 28. 4 multiplied by the scale factor of 7 is 28. Look at the next one. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the, that should say, left. Is the figure on the right an enlargement or a reduction of the figure on the left? It's an enlargement. So my scale factor will be greater than 1. What is the scale factor? The scale factor is 8. So what's the value of x? The value of x is 80. 10 multiplied times the scale factor of 8 is 80. Let's do 3 more. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the left. Is it an enlargement or a reduction? It's a reduction. So the scale factor is less than 1. What is the scale factor? Find that now. The scale factor is 1/5. What's the value of x? The value of x is 5. 25 times 1/5 is the same as 25 divided by 5, which is 5. Let's try 2 more. The figure on the left is a dilation and translation of the figure on the right. Is it an enlargement or a reduction? It's an enlargement. What is the value of x? This time you need to solve for the scale factor, but the answer you enter in the box is just the value of x. The scale factor is 2. 22 divided by 11 is 2. To find the missing side, I multiply 9 times the scale factor because they're corresponding sides. 9 times 2 is 18. So the value of x is 18. The figure on the right is a dilation and translation of the figure on the left. Is it an enlargement or a reduction? It's a reduction. It's smaller, so the scale factor will be less than 1. Go ahead and find the value of x now. Solve for the scale factor to help you solve the problem, but only enter the value of x in the box. The value of x is 7. The scale factor is 1/2. 14 times 1/2 is 7. You've done a great job on this video. There's no matching IXL practice, so our practice will be on Khan Academy today. Type in tinyurl.com/practice911. Do a great job.